Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cooper Naylor Show here tonight. And so we're at a time in the year where there's not a lot to talk about, but in the case of something that I enjoy doing, which is, and we all enjoy watching movies, but the type of genre of movie that one watches is not always the same as another. So tonight, I'm going to dive into my top 10 Westerns. Now, if you've been here for a little while, you realize that I love Westerns. Now, as well as I love country music. I don't remember if I've actually done a top 10 Western list. So if I have, you can, let me know if I have or not. But tonight, that's what I'm diving into. I'm diving into Westerns. And I hope that really, if you haven't seen some of these, hopefully by what I explain will help you see that they're pretty good movies. Although some of these, Westerns can be a little violent, but then you got to realize of what, you got to see the meanings within the movies. And really, I am someone who has taken a literature class, taken a bunch of literature classes in the past. And I come to realize that movies, there's a lot of, like a lot of thinking that goes into literature. And that's what this is. It's just, we're talking about literature here. So that's the thing we got to keep in mind here. So also, you may be wondering about just update with my 4-H stuff. Going good. Just, getting towards the end of the year, which is, it's nice to see the success that's come from my 4-H stuff. So that's what's going on. And then as far as sports, there's just not a lot going on at the moment. Of course, in the next week or so, conference championship tournaments within college basketball is going to get underway. And then, of course, March Madness starts near the middle of the month. So a lot to think about. And then also, of course, as you know, at the end of the month, the UFL will get underway. So just a lot that will be in the future, but of course not a lot at this current moment as far as what is going on. So that's why we're talking about my top 10 Westerns here tonight. So I'm going to start out with number 10, work my way down to number 1. And again, if you have any comments about a Western movie that you think should be in my top 10 at the end, and of course, at near the end of the show, I will put in the chat, I'll put my list from 1 to 10 in the chat so that you have it. So that'll be there for you. Oh, and that was not supposed to go out. Oh man. Either way, well, either way, you got number 1 already. So, we'll go from 10 down. That was not supposed to happen. But, yeah, we'll work through this. Either way, so starting with number 10, we look at Red River, which is starring John Wayne. And this movie is one that I believe is it's a really good movie. Of course, right now I'm putting it getting a banner put together right here for you to see. So there is the first one. There we go. So this is the first one this is number 10. I should probably list that too. Tonight I am way behind everybody. So just bear with me here. There we go. So number 10 is Red River. So starts out with the character John Wayne plays, which I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen this movie in a while, so I don't remember the character names. But But it starts out, John Wayne's character, he's in a wagon train, he's head west, and realizes that his group that is in the wagon train is going to get massacred. And so he heads south. Come to find out, some of his closest friends had been killed by Native Americans. And then it fast forwards a couple years later, because within that little timeline right there, there's a boy who comes with him. And so John Wayne's character, he raises this boy to really working on a ranch, and it's one of the biggest ranches in Texas. I believe they're somewhere in southern Texas. So come to find out, they are low on money, and they've got to take a bunch of, I think it's horses, up to Kansas. And so they're taking the horses to Kansas. And then, of course, John Wayne's character is old and bitter, and he wants to take for all the money for himself. And then the boy breaks away, takes some of the men, and they get the horses to Kansas. And so it's a really good movie if you are looking for one that's going to keep you on your toes. And here's the best part about it. It's in black and white. So I'll be honest, black and white and Western, it just feels so right, folks. So you're looking for a good Western, plus stars John Wayne. It's a good movie. You should definitely check it out. And yeah, I believe the movie was, the 1940s, maybe 1948. I'm going to check this out real quick. Yes, 1948 was when this film was made. So I'm going to add in the director here, and you can tell me if this is helpful information here that I'm adding in here for you. So as you can see, Red River, starring John Wayne, the director was Howard Hawks, and it was released in 1948. So that is Red River for you. It's a solid movie, to be honest with you. So now we're going to look at number 9, which again, another John Wayne movie coming. If you'll give me a minute. And I believe this one, I'm going to search it real quick just to make sure I get everything right here with this. All right. So number 9 is Stagecoach. This one again, starring John Wayne. The director was John Ford, and the movie was released in 1939. This one is really, if you think about the breakout role for John Wayne, it was Stagecoach. It's a good movie where you got this group of people. They're they're going on a stagecoach trying to get out west, and John Wayne's character, which I believe he was some kind of outlaw, he stops the train, the stagecoach. He hops on, and they're traveling together, and so they have to fight off different people, and very interesting movie indeed. I mean, you think about John Wayne getting his start. I mean, because here's the thing. I believe somewhere like 10 years before that, he actually got a role in a big time movie, but he really wasn't him as an actor was not great at the time. So what he did for so many years is he went and did a bunch of like B-level movies, which when you think of B-level movies, this is more, I mean, these, I've seen some of these. They're only like 50 minutes long and low quality budget, like low budget. You can shoot these in a week. And that, yeah, it's that type of movie. Not much to be made and really not advancing his career. And so John Ford, from what I've seen, John Ford, he saw John Wayne and he casted him as Stagecoach because he loved the way he acted after acted in movies, in the B-level movies. He really developed as an actor, and John Wayne really got to start with Stagecoach. So that is if you really want to see where the beginning of John Wayne as a Western, as an American icon, yeah, Stagecoach, that's where it all began. So next, I'm going to go grab my not my computer, but I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to try to take the microphone with me real quick, but I need to go grab my phone. All right. So walking over here to grab my phone so I can get some information for this stuff. All right. There we go. Just had to get up for a second. Folks, I have never done that where I had to really get up like that, carry the microphone with me, but all works out. So what we're going to do now is tell you what movie got the role of number 8. Okay. I'm almost closing in on getting this put together. So now we're getting into a little bit, we're getting into the 60s, as you see right here. Number 8, Hang 'em High. It is starring Clint Eastwood. The director was Ted Post, and it was released in 1968. So, this movie, at the beginning, you see that Clint Eastwood's character, he's running, and there's some bad guys who end up attempting to hang him. And they don't really have a lot of information as to why they want to hang him. And so he survives, but he's got this bad burn, which leaves a scar on his neck. And so from that point on, he ends up going to a town in Oklahoma, becoming the marshal. And basically what he does in that film is he hunts down all the men who attempted to hang him and bring them to justice. And so if you're looking for a movie to really see the true, like, the grittiness of Clint Eastwood in the westerns that he acted in, that's really a great one to watch. And really, it's just good quality movie. And Clint Eastwood, I will say this. Like I said before, you talk about gritty. You talk about a guy who could just... I would say that the difference, because all these movies I'm going to tell you about is either starring Clint Eastwood or John Wayne. But here's the thing. Clint Eastwood, I think, was the better all-around actor. John Wayne, though, he was he's just an American icon. He embodied the American ideal of being tough and then God, family, country. Like that was the movies that John Wayne did. And so that was something that really differentiates John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. And I'm not trying to separate one or the other because let me be honest, both of them are incredible. I mean, John Wayne was incredible with the movies he did. Clint Eastwood, he's still doing movies and he's in his 90s, folks. Both of these men, I mean, by far, top 2 Western actors ever. So that's the thing you got to keep in mind. So Clint Eastwood, Hang 'em High, just a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's really good. And so, of course, you can find a lot of these movies off of streaming platforms. That's where I found a lot of them. Just finding them off of random streaming platforms that I didn't realize we had. And so, yeah, Hang 'em High is a really good movie. All right, we're moving into our number 7. And this one was really the first real Western that I watched that starred John Wayne. And I got to say this. When you're looking at a really good movie, this was good. Now, keep in mind that this one that I'm fixing to tell you was filmed and released after Hang 'em High. So we're looking at 1971 here as I finish up with the information that I got to have. All right. So, number 7, Big Jake, starring John Wayne. The director was George Sherman, and this movie was released in 1971. This one, so it starts out John Wayne, and I believe this is, I believe one of his sons was taken by this group of bad guys. And so what John Wayne is trying to do is he is hunting down the man who took his, I believe it's either his son or his grandson. Either way, trying to find the little boy. And so, which I believe the boy, his name was Jake. And then John Wayne played another character, which he was called Big Jake, telling you the title of the movie. And so he's hunting down these men, ends up finding them, and they get into a shootout. Just a really good movie overall. And really coming in at number 7, I mean, it's really just simple that it's a great movie. I just think there's 6 other Westerns ahead of it. But really, if you think about it, you can't go wrong with Big Jake anytime you turn it on. Just solid Western. Just another one where it just displays... Because this is, okay, the first 2 that I showed you with John Wayne was a little bit of his younger side. This is him when he's older, and it's really good. It's really good. I will say this. John Wayne, I would say, like, his, like, whenever he was really on top, whenever it came to his movies, the 1960s was his time. Like, he was incredible in the 1960s, and you're going to see by the movies I have coming up in just a moment. So, of course, we're coming up to number 6. I'm going to get that all here for you. Of course, like you see, I am doing this in real time, trying to get all my information. So, All right, here we go. Here is number 6, McClintock. It is starring John Wayne. The director is Andrew McLaglen, and it was released in 1963. Now, this one, so John Wayne's character, G.W. McClintock, he is divorced. Well, I believe, I don't know if it's divorced or if his wife just left him. Either way, so they get into a bunch of petty arguments all throughout the movie, and that's really the basis of this. And so what he's doing is he is a aging rancher, and his daughter comes into town, and I believe that she's just trying to be around her dad and all that, and then it's a silly movie, really. And one of the main things you remember from it is there's this huge fight scene with all these different people around the town in this mud pit, and it's just, when you're looking at a John Wayne Western that's just more pure comedy, I guess, I don't know if satire is the word for it, but like, it's just a comedy like movie. It's really good, really. And one of the things is basically at the end, everybody realizes that John Wayne's character is really the good guy here, and then his wife was just being petty. And so at the end, they get, everything's back to normal, and just, it's a funny movie. You would have to see it to really understand where I'm coming from with this. Really just a purely good movie, and it was really one that, if you haven't seen it, then I would recommend. So now we're coming up on number 5. Again, trying to get all of my information put in here for this one. All right, so almost done. All right, here we go. Number 5 is A Fistful of Dollars. Now, this one it's intense. It can be a little violent, but it's very gritty. It is the Clint Eastwood. It really just, you're talking about Clint Eastwood. This is Clint Eastwood right here. You think about it. He rides in the town. He's trying, and there's these men terrorizing the town. And so what he's trying to do is he's trying to save these people. And of course, it gets where he's getting beat up, and he ends up defeating these men in the end. And it's just one of those that it's just like, man, Clint Eastwood, his characters were just tough. And I think the one thing that people forget about how Clint Eastwood's characters were, smart. He knows the moment. That, like, his characters knew the moment and knew how to outplay the bad guys. So just a really great movie if you haven't seen it. Okay, moving on to number 4. And this one, I think, this one is really good. Okay, so we're going to look this one up real quick. Now, this one, I believe, was in black and white. And so this is another John Ford directed movie. And so this one was really good. All right, here you go. It is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, is starring John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart. The director was John Ford, and it released in 1962. Now, Jimmy Stewart really is the main guy here, because when you look at it, Jimmy Stewart, he plays a senator, but what it's telling is more of the backstory, because when he comes back to the town where he met John Wayne's character, he's coming because John Wayne's character has passed on. And so the senator is sitting here telling the newspaper editor about his backstory, how he came to the town, and his dealings with John Wayne's character. And so really it tells about Jimmy Stewart, because his character becomes tough, ends up shooting Liberty Valance, who was really the main protagonist in the movie, who was really the big-time bully, and takes out the bad guy. And Jimmy Stewart, from there on, his character would become the senator and well-beloved within Arizona territory, I believe is where they were. So a really good movie at number 4. And really, when you're sitting down trying to find a movie, you cannot go wrong with The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Just a suspenseful movie, too. It's just, you talk about in the 1960s, a lot of the movies by then were going in color. This one decided to go back to a gritty style black and white, and man, did it pay off. I'm telling you, when you have the clear picture of a 1960s film, which if you look at it, because how they restored films, you got a 1960s film, clean, crisp, just black and white camera, so good. Let me tell you, good movie right there. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Okay, so we are coming up on our final movies, and really these are going to be the top tier of the top tier. So just give me a moment. Right, we are going to get our next one. All right. So, number 3 is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, starring Clint Eastwood with director Sergio Leone, and it was released in 1966. Now, this one, Clint Eastwood's playing the good. The bad was I can't remember the guy's name. Let me scroll down here. Okay. Lee Van Cleef played the bad, and then Eli Wallach was the ugly. Really, it just worked out so good. And so, it's really what they're trying to do is they're trying to find some treasure, and Clint Eastwood's character, he knows where to go to find it. But the guy who played the bad and the guy who played the ugly, trying to find it, and of course they have to come back to Clint Eastwood's character. It's just so good. Ends up you have this like triangle at the end where all 3 men are looking to gun each other down. Man, you talk about just suspenseful. And also, there is a certain commercial on TV that there's a certain soundtrack, certain background music that is put in these commercials. And I didn't know this, but then until I watched it. But The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that song that was in it, that's what was in these commercials that you see today. You just have to go back and watch the movie to see what I'm talking about. But moving on, just a great movie. And I got to tell you, this was really some of the finest work Clint Eastwood did. I would say there, and coming up next, there's one other movie Clint Eastwood did that was better than this. I mean, you may be thinking, oh, that's going to be hard to beat. Well, yeah, it's hard to beat because coming up next is number 2. And it was a good one. And of course, let me remind you that this is my list. So if you have a list of your own, please, by all means, get in the comments and let me know what you think. You've already seen number 1, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because, I got to talk about it. But this has got to be, as far as when it was released, it is the most recent release. So here you go. Number 2 is The Outlaw Josie Wells. Now, Clint Eastwood starred and directed in this film. He released it in 1976, and you want to talk about just the best of Clint Eastwood? This is it, folks. Now, I got to tell you, his ability at this time, it was so good. So what happens at the beginning of the movie is that there is this Union Army who comes up to his house, and he's minding his own business. And I believe he lives in I think it's Missouri he lives in. Either way, and these Union soldiers end up killing his wife and his child, leaving him all alone. And to get revenge, he basically joins up with the Confederates, and he is going to fight off the Union, take out as many of the Union soldiers as possible. Now, it starts out, it shows you where the war basically is at an end, and the Union has defeated the Confederates, and he still doesn't take it well, and so he's still fighting people off, and at the end, he really ends up living his life. He's found his new group of people, and he lives in Texas, I believe somewhere like in South Texas. Just a great all-around movie. If you happen to see this on any streaming platform, you need to sit down and watch it. Good movie. And really, it is just one that really, really good. Clint Eastwood, just incredible in this film. And finally, you've already seen it, but I got to talk about it anyway. And that is the John Wayne film, The Alamo. I'm going to get all the information you need pulled up. And as you can see right here, that our final 2 movies were both starring and directed by the star. And all right. So The Alamo is just, we all pretty much know the story of The Alamo. And really it comes from the side of the Tennessee Volunteers, which was Davy Crockett and his group. They come to Texas to fight off Santa Anna and the Mexicans. And really, it's just a great film. It's long, but it's really good. You will want to watch it. Plus, there is a monologue near the beginning. John Wayne goes on, and I'm telling you, if you are an American, that will make you proud to be an American, folks. That was just a great monologue by John Wayne. And really, you just can't go wrong. And him as Davy Crockett, now I will say, I don't think he's the best Davy Crockett in the world, because to be honest with you, I think Fess Parker was the best Davy Crockett. But when you talk about just a incredible movie. That was an incredible movie. So, yeah. So that is my list. You have Red River, Stagecoach, Hang 'em High, Big Jake, McClintock, A Fistful of Dollars, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, The Outlaw Josie Wells, and finally, The Alamo. So that is my list. And if you disagree, you can put it in the chat. But for now, that's pretty much all I got for you tonight, folks. And I found some way to take 35 minutes of your night talking about my top 10 Westerns. So I'm proud of myself for doing that. So with that, I want to thank you for watching this, folks. It's been a great night to talk about some Westerns, and, you know, going to be fun to see what happens in the next month with all the sports stuff coming up. So with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again later. Goodbye, everybody.